Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we unpack the hidden stories inside company reports. And today we're diving into Autonomix Medical's latest filing, and let's just say they're trying to sweeten a deal for some existing investors, or maybe just trying to raise some quick cash through warrant exercises. Autonomix Medical is making some moves with their existing warrants. Warrants are like options that give people the right to buy a company's stock at a certain price later on. They issued some of these back in November of last year, giving folks the chance to buy up to almost 1.5 million shares. Now, Autonomix has sent out an offer letter, kind of like a special deal to the people who hold these warrants. They're basically saying, hey, if you exercise your warrants now, we'll give you a better deal and some new warrants too. The big news here is that they're lowering the price at which these warrants can be exercised. For some warrants, the price is dropping to 1.7023 cent per share. For others, they're making it even more attractive, reducing the exercise price to just a penny, $0.01 per share. This is quite a move to get people to act fast. Why would they do this? Well, it looks like they need funds, and this is a way to get cash up front by convincing investors to exercise their warrants before they might otherwise have. They're also giving these investors new warrants as a reward for doing so. These new warrants, called inducement warrants, will allow them to buy stock at 1.7023 per share, and they'll be good for 5.5 years from when they're first exercised. In total, they're expecting to bring in about $2.5 million from these warrant exercises. Now, keep in mind that's before they pay any fees or expenses. This is a significant amount for a company, and it suggests they have some immediate financial needs or strategic plans that require funding. These newly issued warrants are ready to be used right away with that same 1.723 exercise price. There are some typical conditions attached though. For example, if the company's stock isn't properly registered for resale 6 months from now, the investors might only be able to exercise these warrants without paying cash, or as they call it, on a cashless basis. Also, there are limits on how many shares one person can own. They can't own more than 4.99% or 9.99% of the company's outstanding shares after exercising, unless they choose to increase that limit up to 9.99%. This prevents any single investor from gaining too much control too quickly. To make sure the investors can actually sell the shares they get from these new warrants, Autonomix has promised to file paperwork with the SEC to register those shares. They aim to get this done by August 20th of this year and have it approved within 180 days so that investors can easily trade the stock they acquire. It's also worth noting that Ladenburg Thalmann & Co. Inc. helped with this deal as a placement agent. They get paid a good chunk of money for their services, 8% of the total money raised, plus some extra warrants themselves and reimbursement for their expenses. This is pretty standard in the world of raising capital for companies, especially smaller ones. Now they're issuing these new warrants under a specific exemption from registration. This means they believe they don't need to go through the full lengthy registration process with the SEC for these particular warrants. This is often done for private placements to a limited number of sophisticated investors. Following all these agreements from July 21st, Autonomix put out a press release on July 22nd to let everyone know about these warrant exercises. And after everything is said and done, the company expects to have around 4.88 million shares of common stock out there in the market. This is a key number to watch as it dilutes the ownership of existing shareholders to some extent, meaning each share represents a slightly smaller piece of the company. The filing includes several exhibits attached to it. Among these are the actual forms of the inducement warrant and the inducement letter, so you can see the exact wording of these agreements. There's also the press release announcing all this. Now, looking at these numbers and the strategy Autonomix is employing, it appears they're in a phase where they need capital, and they're using their existing financial instruments, the warrants, to get it. They're essentially offering a discount and future potential gains through new warrants to incentivize immediate cash flow. A key risk here is the dilution of existing shareholders. When more shares are issued, the percentage ownership of current shareholders decreases. The offering of new warrants also introduces potential future dilution if those warrants are exercised. The reliance on warrant exercises itself can be a sign of difficulty in raising capital through more traditional means like offering stock directly to the public. However, if Autonomix Medical has promising technology or is on the cusp of a significant breakthrough, then securing this funding now could be a smart move to advance their goals. The fact that Ladenburg is involved as a placement agent suggests a level of professional backing for this capital raise. In conclusion, Autonomix Medical is actively managing its capital structure, using warrants to bring in cash. While this can be a necessary and effective strategy, investors should always be mindful of potential dilution and consider whether the company's long-term prospects justify the issuance of new equity. The success of these newly issued warrants will ultimately depend on the company's ability to execute its business plan and increase the value of its common stock. Alright, that's our breakdown of Autonomix Medical's latest filing. What's your take on these moves and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.